Hi there, my name is Krislyn Mattei and I'm a Creative Memories Advisor as well as a content contributor for the Creative Memories home office. Today I want to share with you a border idea using the brand new 3-in-1 Scallop Square punch. And this is a punch that is available only to advisors, and so you need to contact your advisor to purchase one. It does not show up on the website, but your advisor can hook you up. So make sure you do that. If you don't have an advisor, feel free to look for my link here and contact me, and I'd be happy to get one of these in your hands. They are really special. Let me just show you what it does. So it's a 3-in-1 punch, meaning it will punch 3 different kinds of shapes. So let's turn it on here. All right, so I've got it set in the very first position. And so when I punch one time, it's not going to depress very much, and you will get this cool little scallop square. Now, if I want to punch on the second position, just put it in here again. It's going to depress a little further, and you are going to get 2 shapes. You're going to get a little square, and you're going to get this little frame punch out. So now I'm going to put it onto the third position, and we'll try it one more time. And now it's going to punch all the way down, and you're going to get 3 shapes. So you're getting the first section, you're getting 1. This one, you're getting these 2, and the third time, you're getting these 3. So it's really a fun one, and I couldn't wait to just get started. The other thing I really like is that the square punch, which is 1 3/4 inch size, is just perfect behind this. This is about 1.5 inches in size. So these 2 go together really well. And for this border that I'm going to show you today, we're going to use them both. The border that I'm going to show you is kind of a little fussy. It's a little intricate, but it's worth the effort. I wanted to make sure and use all 3 of these shapes punched out, as well as the square punch. So got to do that and more, and I'm excited to show you how. What you're going to need to do this, I'm going to use the Nordic winter paper, but I will also show you ways to do this with other collections. You're going to need some brown cardstock, some white lined paper for the journal box. You're going to want the Scallop Squares 3-in-1 punch and the square punch, or you can just cut out 1 3/4 inch squares, but this is nice and foolproof. You'll need either the love letters punch, which looks like this, or your ABC 1 2 3 stickers in the sans serif, the smaller white sans serif size. You're going to want the original Border Maker system with the tree line and the Home Sweet Home cartridges. Okay, we're going to use the 12-inch trimmer with the straight and scallop blades, microtip scissors, repositionable tape runner, and foam squares. So lots of supplies here, lots of fun tools to get to try out. So let's get going. And this one's a good one to use up a lot of your scraps. So if you have a lot of scraps from your Nordic winter paper pack, this is a good one to use them up on. Okay, so first off, I'm going to dig out my brown striped paper with the base. So this base piece is going to be 3 inches. And then we'll do the next piece, which is this wood grain piece. And we'll want our scallop blade, and that is this one. And we want this to be 2.5 inches. So I'm putting the scallop blade in with the little wording and the little icon right on the left-hand side. So I have it facing to the left. I've already cut this once, but I'm going to cut again just so you can see. When you cut this way, you're going to be cutting with the scallops in the correct position, and then we can rotate it to the 2.5 inches and cut again, and the scallops will be facing the right way. So this is the only one of our blades that really has a direction, and you just want to be mindful of that when you use it. So that's all we're going to use it for right now, and we'll put the straight blade back in, and we can just tape this together. We're all set for this piece. Oh, you know what? I think I made that a little too wide. I think it's supposed to be 2 1/4. My apologies. Let's do that again. Just get more practice, right? That would work just fine too, and maybe that's what you would prefer, but we are just going to do it like this. So we've got a 2 1/4 inch piece, and then a little bit more of our brown stripe paper shows up. Okay. Now finally we're going to need a green piece that is 2 inches by 12 inches, or by 11 3/4. So we're just going to cut a little off here, and then just take a little bit off, like a 1/4 inch off the end. And we can just put it right on here. So we've got this part all ready, and we can kind of set that aside. Okay, the next thing we want to do is start punching. So I'm going to start with my wood grain paper. Okay, so we are going to punch using the square punch, and we need 5 squares. And I typically, with this one, I flip it upside down to punch, because that way I'm just not using as much paper. I can see what I'm doing, and I can just make them close together. You could just, excuse me, you could just cut a strip 1 3/4 and then cut yours down from there. But this is just a perfect 1 3/4 inch square. And now we want to use some light blue paper, and we're going to just punch 3 of these. Okay, and with these 3, we're going to cut them in half and then cut them in half again. And we want to do it on the diagonal. So I'm just going to place them on here. And I'm using this little mark as a guide just to kind of help me get started. And I stacked them up. You can do them one at a time if that's easier. And then I'm going to take my 2 stacks, and I'm just going to lay them on one of the lines and cut it in half again. All right. So now we can take our adhesive, and we're just going to, with each one of the squares, we're going to apply a triangle on the left and one on the right. And if they don't exactly meet up in the middle, it doesn't matter. We're going to be covering that middle spot up. So we do this with all 5. And you'll just have 2 left over. And we can tape these right onto our border. And start a little bit down from the top. And about 1/8 of an inch in between. And then I'll go up from the bottom. Okay, so this is ready for our next step, which is the fun one. We're going to punch using the 3-in-1 Scallop Square. And this time we're going to take our navy paper and we are going to punch 5 times. And this one you can't really tip over upside down to look at it because you really won't get a good view. But just make sure you are on the number 3 setting, and that's the one that will punch all of the different square shapes out. And make sure when you punch, you make sure all 3 pieces are removed from the punch before you move on to the next one. You don't want to jam it, and that would be the way that could happen if you don't remove all the pieces in between. Okay, so now we have 5 of the large frames, and we have 5 of the medium, and then we have these smaller 5 squares. Okay, so we're just going to start by adhering these 5 frames on the center of each one of these squares. And then we'll adhere 4 of these small solid squares right in this space. And this is going to be our little title section. Now in my original, I did use foam squares to adhere these, and you could choose to do that or just leave them flat. It is totally a personal choice. It's kind of neat to see all those little pieces popped up, but just for ease of use in showing this today, I'm gonna tape them right onto the border. Okay, so you're gonna have 1 of these left over. And let's just set these aside for later. And now we want to take our border maker and we're going to punch with brown cardstock. And we actually don't need a full border of either one of these 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch 3 times using the tree line punch. And then I'll punch, let me think, yeah, I think I only need 3. And then I'll punch 3 more with the Home Sweet Home punch. Okay, and then we're going to punch again. We are going to punch some other pieces here. So this is again where using scrap paper would really be just fine. And I'm going to do the tree line, and I'm just going to punch out 3 of those, and then I will use the brown and I'm going to punch out a couple of houses. Okay. All right, now we can take our trimmer or our scissor and we can cut things out. And so I am actually going to put this in the trimmer and I'm just going to cut it out so that there's just a little bit of space underneath that, so that we're not going to cut off the bottom of that house. So I've got it so that the bottom of those windows is right about at that cutting, that line on the right side of the mat there. And so there's just a little bit of overhang, and that's what we want. And I'm just going to cut out 2 of the ones that have hearts on them. And then I will cut out 2 of the houses here too. So I'm gonna place this whole strip on that mark that's on the right hand side. That's about 1/8 of an inch from the cutting edge. And I'm just gonna put it there so that we get a nice little bit of extra on the bottom of the trees as well. And so again, I'm going to cut out the houses. And the reason that I'm doing this is if you wanted to mount this up on foam squares, the houses and the trees are going to have a little bit more heft to them. So they're going to work a little better with the foam square. I'm also able to put a different color in between. And I'm going to use this little leftover piece here. And I'm just going to cut out a little shape so that I can place that right over that cardstock piece, and then I can take my other piece, the one I want on top, and I can place it on top. And then you've got just a nice sturdy little embellishment. So if you want to pop it up on foam squares, it's got that little bit of extra to it. So I'll do that one more time. I'm just going to put 2 houses on here. Okay, so those are each going to go right here. In fact, I'll just go ahead and tape them down now. Again, pop them up with foam squares if you have them and if you want that extra dimension look. It really does add. Okay, then the next thing I want to do is my trees. So I'm just going to take the largest of the trees and I'm going to give myself just a little bit of a trunk. And then I'm just going to cut around and this is just using the brown cardstock at this point. So again, just give yourself a little bit of room to cut that little trunk. And then one more. Okay, now we can take our green trees and I'm just going to, again, just kind of trim these out, just the large ones. And then you're just going to see that little trunk peeking out below. Isn't that cute? And again, it gives it a little bit more sturdiness. So if you did want to pop it up in foam squares, it's going to work really well. Okay, so we're almost done here, and you could, if you don't have this love letters punch or don't have a title you want to put on here, you could get out the stickers and embellishments, and you could just find a title that you like, or something else that you'd like to stick in those little spots. But I really like the idea of a title, so I'm using this love letters punch. And I'm just going to punch it out. I actually punch out two right now. And you could save this for another use. They are just adorable. And we're just going to tape on the little saying. And I think any nice four-letter word that you can think of that you want to put in here would be really great. I've got some other examples I will show you in a moment. But I love this. This could also say home and be really cute. You could put, you could use the ABC 1, 2, 3 stickers and instead of the love. And I think home would be really cute as well here. Okay. All right. So now we've got the border finished. That wasn't too terribly hard, right? Now we're going to make the journal box. And so you could choose to make 2 borders and have them on either side of a 2-page spread. Or sometimes I will just make 1 border and I'll make a journal box that coordinates with it. And so then if I have a 2-page layout, I can move, have one on the other side, and it just sort of ties the whole layout together. So I still have scraps left from the last one that I made. So I'll just give you the dimensions here. What we want is a base that is going to be 4 1/4 inch wide by 4 3/4 inch long. Okay, so I've already made the width. It's 4 1/4 wide, 4 3/4 long. And then we're going to use our scallop blade again, and we are going to cut a 3 1/2 inch by 4 3/4 inch. So you're only going to use the scallop edge for the 2 longer sides. And again, that's 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. And then we want a 3 1/4 inch square of green. And we'll use white lined paper, or you can just use white cardstock. And this is going to be 3 inches square. Okay, so we can just adhere all of these on. And now this is a great way to use up some of the other materials that we have that we punched out. So we're kind of using up most of them. We're only going to have a couple little pieces left. And you could either find someplace else on your layout to add those, or just leave them off. But I love that it's just simple, and we are using it all up. So we're just going to take these and place them on the bottom. And now we're going to bring back our little tree scraps. We have a few. So I just want these three there's a kind of a medium size. There's this little tiny one that we're not going to use. All right. So we're just going to, we're going to make a little tiny tree trunk. And we're going to trim these out. Kind of little to work with, but they are cute. All right. And then we're just trimming out 3 of the medium-sized trees from here. And I just kind of round it out as I go around the bottom boughs here. One more thing I forgot. I forgot that I was going to cut out 3 1-inch squares. So we just want a little bit of backing behind our little frames there. And even if you go just a hair under 1 inch, you're going to get, it'll hide nice right behind it. Okay. I knew it looked a little funny. All right, so I'm gonna peel these up, plop these right behind it, and then we can put the whole thing back on. That's better. I love repositionable tape. It is the best for things like this and for all things tiny like we're doing today. This is a little bit of a delicate border. It's a lot of tiny pieces, but it is worth it. I think it's just super fun to be able to play with these punches and do something different with them. I like to kind of deconstruct the border maker shapes when I can and play with them. All right. One final little touch is I punched an extra one of these from the Love Letters punch so I could just kind of have a little start to my journaling. I kind of like that. It's just a little piece to kind of start writing right here, and that little heart is just kind of a nice way to begin. Okay, so we used all of our 5 shapes from that punch except for these 3. And it was kind of fun to be able to incorporate so many. So let me give you a couple of ideas. this is the beautiful Cool Shades, I think it's called, Fast to Fab Pages, and the Nordic Winter Fast to Fab album. I absolutely love these pages, and you can see that you've got so many beautiful choices. But if you choose ones, if this is a vertical border, I would tend to choose a vertical pre-printed border. And look how fun this is right on the layout. You can just put this right on the side, and then on the other side, you can use your journal box. And then your photos can just go where they need to, whatever size and direction you have, and you can create an easy layout that way. You could also, if you wanted, you know, make a second border and put them on either side and use or don't use a journal box. It's totally your choice, but you got lots of options. Now let me just show you a few things you can do with other collections. So I made the same border over again in the Christmas Cheer collection, and you can just see what how you can make this different. So we have, instead of the love and using the love letters punch, I used the sans serif white ABC 123 stickers to spell out Noel, and I just used the dark green cardstock for my trees. I didn't make a trunk with these. And I used the old Starry Border Maker cartridge, and those little tiny stars I added to the top of the trees. So I love kind of the little gold frames. I think that's a really fun element. And then, you know, even made the little tiny trees here. So you can have a lot of fun playing with different collections and using the same technique. And then I also played with it again. So if any of you got the Secret Box number 4, they came out last month. This was in the Secret Box number 4, and it's the Scallop Circle 3-in-1 punch. And of course, it goes perfectly with the 1 3/4 inch circle punch. And so I used the same idea, and I used that punch instead. And I used the Autumn Harvest collection and just did the exact same thing. And I used the pumpkin patch border frame punch. Okay, and I used the little pumpkins that come out of here, and even a few of the little embellishments for that. And then I used pumpkin cardstock and brown cardstock to layer. So this worked out. I did it exactly the same way, and made it using circles. So feel free to take this, you know, any of these border ideas and just make them work with other collections, other punches, and have fun with that. So I thank you so much for watching. I hope you subscribe. I hope you hit like and ring the bell so you'll get notified the next time I post a video. Have a great day.